You're listening to Unmuted with Papamutes.
Welcome to Papamutes, everybody. Happy 2024. My guest today is Claudio Reilsono. Claudio is the coach of Carnegie Mellon University's baseball team, where in 2011 was voted into their Baseball Hall of Fame and was awarded the Willie Stargell MVP Lifetime Achievement Award. Claudio is also a professional baseball scout, TV, radio, and podcast host. An author. We'll be talking about his book, Lead from the Heart Up, Not the Neck Up: How to Create a Positive Winning Culture on the Field and in the Office. He's in a lot of Hall of Fames over his illustrious career. Steel City Sports Hall of Fame, National Italian American Sports Hall of Fame, Pittsburgh chapter, and recently the Pittsburgh Sports Line Hall of Fame in 2021. Let's just say he's a Hall of Famer. Claudio, welcome to Papamutes.
Thank you so much. I appreciate being on. It's an honor. Thank you so much.
So where are you now? Are you on campus or home?
No, I'm home. I'm home. Yeah, it's school baseball wise at Carnegie Mellon. We're done until February, and then we kick off our season. We have a fall season as well. But no, I'm home right now in rainy Pittsburgh. Well, I live in a town outside of Pittsburgh called Swickley, Pennsylvania. And as a matter of fact, this is the same house I grew up in. I never left. So how's that for consistency?
Wow. Well, that was my question. Where were you born? So obviously the answer is Swickley, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, Swickley, Pennsylvania.
Any
Again,
siblings?
same house I grew up in. And if you ever heard of Swickley before, the former Los Angeles Rams, Buffalo Bills, Seattle Seahawks coach Chuck Knox is from Swickley. He was like an uncle to me, so I got to mention Chuck. So there's a few Penguins that live not too far from here, Pittsburgh Penguins, and it's a great little town. It really is. Never want to leave. Never.
I was going to say, isn't that where Mario, the great Mario Lemieux, lives?
Mary Lemieux lives here, and Sidney Crosby lives both about a mile from where I live. Yeah. Jack Ham,
all right. So
former Steeler.
Oh,
Jack Ham lives in Swickley. So there's quite a few of those guys.
Well, being from there, not that area, but being from Pittsburgh, I do recall the Swickley area. Man, there's a lot of stuff. So, but what sparked your interest in baseball?
Well, my parents, Olindo and Ida, were born in Italy, and they were just into boxing and soccer. My mom was into boxing and soccer. My dad was huge into boxing. So that's where I picked up my love for boxing. But the only thing I knew about baseball is that my parents would be upset if the show Gunsmoke would be preempted for a Pirate game, right? And I just knew about Roberto Clemente. That was it. So my uncle used to work at Three River Stadium, and he brought me to my first game, August 19th, 1973. I was 8 years old. And as I approached Three River Stadium, and I saw that big, beautiful building. I never seen anything so big in my life. And then entering it, there was a scent that I can still smell to this day. The elevator ride up to the Allegheny Club, which was it was a restaurant inside of Three River Stadium. My uncle was the assistant manager of the place. And I remember seeing this Roberto Clemente beautiful picture to my right. Then I walked through the hallway, beautiful mahogany wooden walls and these pictures of the Wayner brothers, Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Joe Green, Stargell. I didn't even know who these guys were. And then he took me down to the locker room, and I'm seeing these guys, big guys in these bright white uniforms, and I'm just like mesmerized. Then I snuck out on the field. This is about 10:30 in the morning, and it was just me and the grounds crew. And it just hit me like a ton of bricks. The thunderbolt, as the Italians say. And I knew, this is before the game even started. I knew what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. And I remember coming to this house and telling my dad asked me, "Did you have a good time?" I said, "I did, but I know what I want to do with the rest of my life." And he said, "What's that?" Now you can remember, I was 8 years old. I said, "I want to be in professional baseball." That's just what I said. And it's about, 5 yards from where I'm sitting right now. And he said, "Okay, if that's what you want to do, me and your mom will give you every opportunity in the world to make your dreams come true." And he gave me a hug, and my mom Said, yeah, as long as you're a good boy and you work hard, we'll do whatever we can for you. And I tell you, Bob, they kept their promise. They did everything they could for me to give me every opportunity in the world to make my dreams come true. And there's an old saying, an old Italian saying that if you ever see a turtle on top of a fence post, you know he didn't get there alone. So the accolades that you mentioned and all that, if it if it wasn't for my parents, I thank God for my parents every second of the day, and I miss them both. But they were incredible. But that's how I got my love for baseball. I had no idea if I had any talent in it or not. But my mom used to say if there was a ball in the air, you can be sure Claudio was underneath it because I read about it, I watched it, I played it. If I wasn't outside playing it, I'd be upstairs in my room hitting things. My dad owned a landscaping business, so one of the places he had apples. So that's why I learned how to switch hit. I would throw an apple to myself and hit. So it was constantly swinging and throwing. That's why I can't throw anymore. But that's where I developed the love for it. And then again, my uncle taking me to these games, and I got to know these Pirates since I was a little kid, and I got to
Wow.
be friends with them, which I'll talk about later. But so that's how I got hit with that bug.
Wow. Now, at what point did you, I mean, obviously you wanted to play baseball, but at what point did you say, or did you realize, you know what, I don't think I'm going to go to the next level? I'm not saying, I don't know how far you went. I shouldn't even say that, but, when
Right.
did you, go to the coaching aspect?
That's a great question. Yes, it was the original game plan was to play, and I was very good. I was blessed with a good arm. I could play multiple positions. I could hit. I was a good hitter. I could run pretty good. So I had 3 tryouts. The first tryout, I was tryouts. I was injured. I was hurt. But the third one, I was completely healthy. I completely healthy. I remember putting ankle weights on my feet, running. I remember going to my old elementary school and putting pebbles on the asphalt, getting a lacrosse ball, throwing it against the wall, working on my glove hand transition and my reaction. My dad hitting me fly balls. And I go to the batting cages and hit, 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 hit. I was in terrific shape. I was ready to go. And I had a nice high school career and all that. And I got hurt second day in college, but that's okay. I still had a shot to play professionally. My size didn't help, but that's okay. I'm 5'6". That's okay. I didn't really think about that too much. So I go to the tryout for the Pirates, and I remember having to run the
Wait,
60.
you had a
Well, the
tryout for the
60.
Pirates?
Yes, I had one with
You had a
Baltimore, one with the
tryout for the
Pirates. I had
Pirates?
2 with the Pirates. So,
Oh, wow. Okay.
so I remember why am I moving so slow? I'm actually thinking this. And did they make this an 80-yard dash? Well, I finish, and I know that I didn't run. I probably ran a 7.6, which is terrible. It's like what happened here, right? Okay, I said I'll show off my arm. The
Mhm.
running was bad, but I'll show off my arm. Okay, so I played multiple positions, but they started me off in the outfield. So I go in right field. They give you a ground ball, and mechanics were perfect. I was lined up, I threw as hard as I could to third base. 2 bounces. I never did 2 bounces. It was either one hop or straight through. 2 bounces. I never forget. I
Mhm.
shook my arm. I went like this, right? Like that was going to do something. Then they gave me another ball. I threw it perfect alignment, perfect mechanics. Threw it 3 bounces, and I'm saying, what is going on here to myself, right? Third ball, I think it's still going. I don't know if it ever got there. I said, okay, I'm a really good hitter. I'll show off my hitting. They called off the list of who they wanted to go see hit. They didn't call my name. So I remember I was sitting on the ground with my legs. I'll never forget. My left leg was that way, and I had my right leg underneath me, and I had a smile on my face, and I have no idea why I was smiling. But I knew right then and there I was done. And the things that hit me right away is how am I going to go home and tell my parents that I failed? They believed in me. They did everything. They really, this was our dream. And the other thing I thought about was all the people who I cared for who wanted to see me fail and busted my chops
Having some
constantly with such lovely quotes as time to grow up, quit baseball, be a man. It's a pipe dream. Be realistic. You're never going to make it. Get a job, get a real job. You're going to be a failure, all those things, right? And how am I going to deal with that? And then I said, what am I going to do next? So for 2 weeks, I was out of it, to be honest with you. I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. I was, 21, 22 years old, and I was done. And then I said, well, I do have 5 years as an assistant coach at my old high school as a volunteer. Maybe I can do that. And as kind of luck would have it, the head coach, who was my coach in high school, Rich Woznicki, had to take a year off, and I was named interim head coach at my old high school. I was 23 years old, caught the coaching bug, and I was always interested in coaching, but that's when it hit me, and thank God things went from there.
Awesome. Now, just to pivot a little bit to the scouting part of a baseball scout. So, I mean, the average Joe like myself sounds like, whoa, okay, you go to games and you evaluate, talent. I mean, is there more to it than that? It sounds like a good gig, but I mean, sometimes it doesn't appear as as reality. But what does not going too deep into it, but what does a baseball scout do besides look for talented people, of course?
Well, to go back again, I don't know if you want me to go into this part of it, but I was trying to get into professional baseball as a coach, and 100 and some odd rejections later, and
Wow.
plus because some didn't even respond. I contacted my wife, and I were going to go watch a good friend of mine, Vinny Pazienza, box. He's a Hall of Fame boxer. We're going to go watch him at Foxwoods Casino.
Oh yeah.
So I decided to get some reading material, and there was a little square advertisement for European baseball. This is in November of '99. Now, I was climbing the ladder. I coached in my high school, then coaching at Penn State Beaver. I was head coach there. I won a championship there at a community college, Beaver County. I was an assistant at Duquesne University. Then I left there. 2 years, I disappeared. And then I got a job at Quigley Catholic High School for a whopping $800 a year. And I was pretty far away from my dream. I just wanted those three letters next to my name, pro, right? So then in November '99, I saw that advertisement. I told my wife, when I get back, I'm going to contact this company. So I connected with them. She said, no, why don't you contact them while we're at Foxwoods? So I did. And he said, yeah, the guy's name was James Gamble. Excuse me. And he said, yeah, get back with me. So at least 3 times a month, I contacted James until January of 2001. He offered me the job, and I became general manager in 2002, and I still have the same job. There's more to that story we can get into later if you want, but so my dream finally came true. Now, as far as what does a scout do? Yes, you go to games, and we run pro tryout camps, evaluation camps, and 2-day camps. The first day we test the skills, the arm, the glove, the hitting, and the speed. And then the next day we play a live game. And some guys are good during practice. Some guys are not good, and they're not good during the games. Some guys are okay during practice, and they're great during the games. Jim Leland, the new Hall of Fame manager, said, I want the guys who are good after the national anthem, not before, right? So, it does take an eye for talent, which, to be very honest with you, in my opinion, it's diminishing because now everything's analytics. Analytics, numbers. Well, that's fine. If a guy's hitting 320, that's terrific. Who's he doing it against? Who's the competition against, right? A guy might be hitting 285 against really good competition. A guy's hitting 320 against poor competition. So you really do have to have an eye for it. Can the eye be trained? Sure. It isn't like a gift, I don't think, like a talent, a physical talent. I believe that you have to have a physical talent to Dan Marino was born with a great arm. Yes, his father,
Right.
taught him the quick release. Joe Namath, same thing. you have to be born with X amount of ability. Then you work hard to hone those skills. As a scout, if I can show somebody what to look for. But yes, you look for um, obviously physical talent. But the other thing for me is what kind of a person is it? Is this player? I will never sign or send a problem to another team because I don't want problems as a coach. So I get asked all the time, what kind of a player do you want at Carnegie Mellon? And what kind of player do you sign professionally? What do you look for? I very simply say the good people who can play. That's it.
Now, speaking of Carnegie Mellon, from what I have read, that is a non-scholarship school, correct?
Right.
There's no scholarships
For
there.
baseball, yeah. I don't know what they do, baseball,
It's
basketball, or football, but we do not
Division
give
3,
scholarships.
right? So has anyone, well, not just Carnegie Mellon, but in general that you have coached, whether it's Carnegie Mellon or, uh, batting, what's the camps, stuff like that, made it to the show, aka the major leagues?
I've had, I say, one player that could have at Penn State Beaver, one at CC Community College Beaver County, and about four who could have played from Carnegie Mellon. The ones at Carnegie Mellon, three of them decided to go make six figures in the real world as opposed to making $800 a month in the minor leagues. And they made great decisions. One of them got hurt. But, now with the advent of the independent leagues and me, our company, the Global Scouting Bureau, we deal with every professional league in the world. We've assisted in getting players everywhere. So yes, we could have had some players sign, but they chose a different route. But it's hard. But there's more opportunities now. But I think they made the right decision.
Now, what separates the guy who makes it and a guy who's talented and doesn't make it? I mean, I know it sounds like a dumb question, but what's the
No. There's a lot of
what
talented
separates
players
that?
that don't. Yeah, there's a lot of talented players that don't
Right.
make it
That's what I was trying to say.
because either they can't take the punch of an early failure, or homesick, or they shock. But a lot of it could be. There's a young man that I'm dealing with out of the Dominican who was released twice from major league organizations, and the kid's a talented player, but he was away from home for the first time. Then there was some things he was told to do hitting wise that he didn't really like, and it didn't work. His numbers were down. So, it's like anything else. You are going to get hit. You're going to get punched, meaning you're going to have to overcome some obstacles. That's just like even with me, all the rejections that I had, all the negativity, and I saw people that I was better than getting jobs. So, whenever I do a speech, one of my topics is the acronym TOP, TOP. Yeah, I had to be tough, I had to overcome, and I had to be persistent. Those who are able to do that, plus have some skill, are going to go all the way. And it's hard, and there's not a science to it. Forgive me for anybody who, like my daughter. My daughter wants to be a school counselor. Well, there's a and I don't mean this in a negative way. I'm so proud of my daughter, and she's worked incredibly hard. She graduated from University of Pittsburgh. She's going to grad school at Duquesne. But there's kind of a path. Or if you want to be a teacher like my wife, there's a path. To play in professional baseball, you would think there's a path. Do well in high school and or college, get drafted or go as a free agent, go to the minors and do well. Yeah, but there's just a little more to it, at least in my opinion. Maybe I'm being biased. I don't know. But, so there's so much competition. You have to be away from home. You have to learn how to take the punch and get back up. You have to learn to work hard. You have to learn to be coachable. There's a lot of sacrifices, and it's hard. It's very hard in any form of entertainment. being a singer, or anything really. You know, if you want to go to the top
Yeah.
at anything, if my daughter wants to be the best, um, school counselor, she's gonna have to work at it. And work the proper work, and that's what you have to do. But you have to really learn how to be tough, overcome, and be persistent.
Are you a fan of the pitch clock in baseball?
No, I'm not a fan of any of that stuff.
I'm watching the Phillies this past season because they made the playoffs.
Mhm.
And at first I was like, ugh, the pitch clock. Why? Why? But honestly, as it was going on, I got used to it. And now I like it personally, just but as a fan. But I'm just curious how you
Well,
felt.
let me say this. Let me say the pitch clock. Okay, I'm okay with it. All right, because it does. I just don't like anything that messes with the strategy of the game. Okay. Now, sometimes, baseball, I get it. It can be a slow game, no doubt. Okay. Especially with all the looking around, the fixing of the gloves. I do understand that. I guess what I don't like, I answered that a little too quick. What I don't like is you're not allowed to really have a shift, or the pitcher has to throw, to X amount of batters. If you want to speed the game up, and they don't tell you this, again, when I was coming up, forget about the Palmers, the Seavers, the Fergie Jenkins, the Bob Gibsons and the Carltons. Forget about those guys. The second level guys, the Dick Ruthvens, the Rook, and I don't mean this, but the guys who weren't the Hall of Famers. Those guys had 15, 16 complete games a year. Now a pitcher pitches one batter, take him out. There's
Drives me
seven
nuts.
pitchers in a game. That's what takes so long. And I know this may sound trite or crazy, but maybe even have the bullpen car. Remember those things? Bring the pitcher in. And not only that, if you're warming up in the bullpen, why do you have to warm up again on the mound? So if your goal is to speed the game up, you may cut back all the pitching changes and the specialization that's has incurred. So between not, and you say, well, Claudio, you just said don't mess with the strategy of the game, but they overdo it. They overdo it. Seven pitchers in a game. A pitcher throws to one batter, and he leaves the game. And, oh my God! But there's ways to shorten the game. The pitch clock I can live with. The runner at second base and the non-shift, and I'm not too crazy about that.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't like the starting the extra innings with the runner at second base. I don't like
Yeah.
the uh, only three. I think it's three pitches to the pick. The guy on first trying to pick him
Oh
off
yeah, I don't like that
after
either.
you.
No.
My God, what? Who thought of that? It's
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, oh
Yeah,
well, I'm not on
I'm
the
not a
committee,
fan of
so.
that either. No.
um, so tell us about your book, Lead from the Heart, not, or I'm sorry, Lead from the Heart Up, not the neck up. How'd that come about, and who should read that?
Well, everyone should read it. Okay, but my mom used to say, "Never speak from the neck up. Speak from the heart up." In other words, be passionate about what you say, care about what you say. They used to say Roberto Clemente could not order a cup of coffee without being passionate about it, right? So when you are, and the theme of the book I got from Dick Vermeil, the Super Bowl winning coach, Hall of Fame coach, who former Eagle coach, great guy. He said, "Your players, your people won't care how much you know till they know how much you care." So my players, or the people who work under me, they know how much I care. So in the book, there's a bunch of stories about things that I did or have done or do as a coach. Little quick stories. It's about, I don't know, 150-page book, something like that. It's a quick read. It's easy to apply, and um, just stories on what I did. And then at the end of the book, about 27 former players, I asked them, write whatever you want about our relationship as a player coach. And I was blown away at the kind things they said. I've had some remarkable people to coach, and I'm glad that I had impact on them, other than telling them how to throw or hit a curveball, right? So, but
Right.
who should read it? Obviously, and it's I have on there on the field and in the office, right? So obviously, coaches of any sport, but also I was very flattered that a lot of CEOs and leaders of companies have connected with me and said, "Hey, I read your book. It works, right? Not that it's a formula so much. It's just treating people right. That's all. And without going into specifics, you hear on TV some different programs that the leader of the program, was trying to be a tough guy or whatever the case was, and players want to quit or they go in the transfer portal, whatever. My goal for my players is two things. When they leave, I want them to miss playing for the team, and I want them to miss playing for me. Okay, I've been so honored to be invited to so many weddings, or when they have a kid, they send me a picture of their baby. Unfortunately, I've been a pallbearer to some of my former players' parents. Okay, it means the world to me. And but you know what? You have to give them credit too for being that type of person to listen, to absorb whatever it is that I had to say. And I've been so lucky. But the book, I really do believe it's not. These are stories. I've had my hands in the soil, as Frank Tarkenton used to say. I've done it. There's some people who talk about leadership and all they did was study it. They didn't actually,
Right.
do it. I've done it, and I've seen a lot. And why did I write the book? I just seen a lot of leaders think it's all about them. Okay, you do it my way, and that's it. Coach, I have to miss practice today. Well, then you're off the team. That kind of stuff. And there's a lot of stories that show that it doesn't have to be that way. Now, does that mean that I let everything go? One quick story is on my birthday one time. One of my players had said that he organized the team giving me a birthday cookie after the game, and they sang happy birthday. Now, these are college kids, right? And I was just touched, moved beyond. I was in tears, and I appreciated it. The next day, we had a game. That same young man who organized the birthday cookie didn't run a ball out as much as I would have liked him to. So what did I do? Did I say, "Well, he got me a cake yesterday"? No, I got mad. Hey, you run. I got upset. So so it isn't like Pollyanna, you let everything go and everything's fine and hey, we're friends and this and that. No. If you do something good, Shakespeare said, "You prick me, I bleed, you tickle me, I laugh," right? So whatever the situation calls for, that's what you do. I don't think, like people say Vince Lombardi, "Oh, he was a tyrant, he was tough." Yeah, he was tough. But those players to this second love that man. He changed their lives. He had impact on them. So when he had to be tough, he was tough. When he had to give a compliment or a hug, he did that. But the book again, I'm very proud of the book. Um, I always feel I can do better in everything I do, be it shows or whatever. But the book, I pretty much had spot on, and I'm very proud of it.
Nice. Now you've been to a lot of celebrity golf outings. Which one, not for the sake of who was there celebrity wise, but which one, I don't want to, I guess I am singling out one, but I'm sure they're all good causes, but which one really jumps out at you as far as the cause, the charity or whatever you want to call it, out of the ones you have been to?
First of all, I'm very grateful that I've been invited to these things for 21 years now. Okay. And we've gone to New Mexico, we've gone to Ohio, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, numerous spots. And some have been for the Mel Blount Youth Home and Ray Boom Boom Mancini Foundation, which is for kids. And there's Christian Sports International, which is for kids. Louis Lips, the former receiver of the Steelers, had one for sickle cell anemia, which there's been a little bit of a breakthrough, I believe I read a couple of weeks ago for that. So they're all important. They are all important. For me to say one is more important than the other, these guys are doing great things to help, and if all we have to do is play golf, wow, you know, how 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 great is that, you know? And it's an honor. And the big thing is that we are helping a lot of organizations, and I'm grateful to do my small part. And also as a for a selfish thing, you know, whenever I play at these things, like one time we were flying to New Mexico, and I'm flying there with guys that I grew up watching. I know most of them. I said, what am I doing on a plane with John Candelaria or Jim Rooker or Grant Jackson or whatever the case is, you know? And then, you know, you go to these places and you're sitting talking to Roy Jefferson, the old wide receiver, and so on and so forth. I can go on. And it's like, or even when I do my shows, it's like, what am I doing talking to this guy, right? So I kind of stand back because I'm still that 8-year-old kid sometimes. But to answer your question,
Mhm.
all of the causes are great, and I'm very very honored to do my part.
Is it true there's a documentary in the works about your life?
Yeah, it's been in the works. It's been the momentum has been up and down, and you know that through nobody's fault. Obviously, COVID threw a wrench into everything, and that's something
Hmm.
that we're going to start off again because. And again, forgive me. I've been very blessed to become friends with a lot of named people. One of them was Jim Valvano, and he used to say his favorite word in the English dictionary was the word impact. I've had so many people have impact on my life, including Jim. So many. Um, you know, outside of my mom and dad, obviously. And
Right.
if my story can have impact on people, then that is just very important to me. Because, like Rudy Rudiger once said, it's hard to be Michael Jordan. It's hard to be Wayne Gretzky, right? But it's not hard to be Rudy. Well, and I don't mean this in a self-deprecating way or a humble way. Nothing. I'm just being, you know, it's not hard to, you know, to do what I did. It's hard to do what I did, but I'm just a normal guy, if you know what I'm trying to say. So when people hear
Sure.
my story, it's, well, you know what? He did it. So can I. And it doesn't have to be in athletics. It can be you want to be an attorney, you want to own your own business, you want to be a chef, whatever it is. Okay. This is the path that Claudio took. These are the obstacles, the ups and downs. He had to be tough, overcome, be persistent. And heck, I can do that. So if I can have some impact on people, I'm just that's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. And you know, whenever I speak or in the book or shows like this, or whenever people ask me about my story, or hopefully the documentary gets finished, and hopefully it can impact some people.
Now, you mentioned about the company's business. Tell us about your enterprise, Claudio Reilsono Enterprises. What's
And you say the last name perfectly, so thank you.
I
Um,
was worried. I was worried about that.
no, you do great. Well, you know, it all started for me. My dad used to tell me, never put all your eggs in one basket. And I, you know, that was in my head. You know, obviously I was focused on baseball. But in 2007, I was at my friend Vince Caplak's house, who was a great professional wrestler. But anyway, and he his son's birthday, and I was just leafing through a Sports Illustrated magazine, and there was a little article there about Greg Norman, the golfer, and it was about all the things that he did. Now he was my favorite golfer, and I knew he had clothes. I always wear his clothes. I put my logo on it, but I wear his clothes, the shark, all the time because
The
he's an
shark.
inspiration to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, so he has golf course design, sunglasses, GPS, wine, beef, clothing. Now obviously he's with the LIV, but that was the live. That was before though. But he had all these things, and I said, you know what? I can do this. Maybe not on the $400 million level, but I can do this. So I remember getting the book, The Way of the Shark, and that book had so much impact on my life. So I decided to start Claudio Reilsono Enterprises, and the arrows signify I do different things. So obviously I do baseball training, media, shows and production. I own a landscaping business, speaking. There's all kind of things under that umbrella. And adding more. I'm going to be doing something with a company called Draft Nation. I'm going to be a consultant for them. I'm going to be doing some things with some other companies, Streakers Gaming. I'm an LP with them out of Canada. So I enjoy doing different things, and I will always do different things, because another thing Greg Norman said was, one of these days I'm no longer going to be number one golfer in the world. One of these days baseball may not want me. I've been at it for 40 years. Okay. Or maybe I won't want it. Who knows? So I want to prepare for my life before that happens. So I'm trying to do more in the business end of it. And, with the speaking, the shows, the other businesses that I'm involved in. So I want to prepare for that day when the baseball is no longer here. Hopefully it will be, but you never know. So, and I enjoy doing different things. I really do.
So underneath that umbrella, I just curious myself. I saw it says celebrity placement.
Yeah.
What's that involve?
That is, I've been fortunate to become friends with a lot of former athletes, 95% of them from the 70s and 80s, who are name people. And if I'm not, yeah, well, so, whoever, but let's say somebody has a store front opening, or they want a speaker, or we may do some solo events, some standalone events where you have these athletes there, or some boxers who have a signing, these guys together, things like that. So that
Okay.
we're really working on getting that off the ground, and because it's a three-way win. That's something that I want. Anything I do, Bob, I want it to be a win-win for everybody. Okay, I want it to be a win for the customer, for the athlete, and for myself. And why can't it be that way? So these are great people with great careers, very personable, great with fans, and that's something that we're really trying to get off the ground.
So you mentioned the word impact, and just to plug the Italian Impact Weekly podcast you have, with which I was on
Yeah.
with you and Steve Mancini.
Yes.
I think somewhere along the way we mentioned you went to the Chicago National Italian Sports Hall of Fame. I hope I
Yeah.
have that right. And I wanted you to talk about
Yes.
that because that
Well,
sounds super
yeah.
cool. What?
It
How was
really
it?
was. First of all, you did a great job on Italian Impact Weekly, and I appreciate you being on. And Steve and I started this in February. We've had a lot of great guests on, and you added to that list for sure. The
Mhm.
Italian American Sports Hall of Fame, there's a branch campus here in Pittsburgh, which I'm fortunate enough to be
Oh,
president of. Excuse me. And
mhm.
the Chicago, that's the big one. That's the big one. So I went, and I'll be honest with you, that was one of the best events I have ever been to in my life.
Wow.
And first of all, Ron Onesty, the president, it was a perfect banquet. It really was. The only bad part of it was I I think I gained some weight from that trip, because every time there was a pre-dinner, there was a dinner on Thursday, and the banquet on Friday, and they just kept shoveling the food, and it was unbelievably good, right? And I met all of us when we came back. Said, man, we ate way too much. It was a great event, and I happened to meet. We're the day before the banquet. We're in a room, maybe about less than 100 people, I think. So I'm sitting there, and one of the people that I'm friends with, we were there a lot. Ray Mancini, great Ray Mancini, Hall of Fame boxer, 10 times greater
Boom, boom.
person, and an inspiration of my life. Anyway, we're sitting there, and all of a sudden, Ron Honesty was talking about some of the dignitaries who were there. He mentions Ray. Priscilla Presley was getting an award, the Tommy Lasorda Award. Then he mentioned two guys, Tony Orlando, from Tony Orlando and Don. Now, he's not Italian, but he was there for a veterans event. So I saw him, and there he was, right? So about 10 minutes later, we kind of connected. I said, I got to go say hello to Tony Orlando, right? Unbelievably nice. I cannot tell you how nice he was. Okay. And he started talking about my parents, started talking about Italy, started talking about all kind of things, right? And I told him, yes, I enjoy your music since I was a little kid. But after meeting you these past 15 minutes, I think the world of you even more. What a great guy he was with everybody. Then
Mhm.
the past couple weeks, a guy named Sean Stellato, who's an agent for the New York Giants quarterback Tommy DeVito. He's been all over. Yeah, and I think some unnecessary memes and some unnecessary comments
Yeah.
were placed
Hmm.
on both of
Right.
them, but especially Sean. Um,
Hmm.
but met him, and I we've been in contact, and I talked to him, and I told him how impressed I was with him as a person. I saw how he interacted with everybody. I appreciated the pride he had in his Italian heritage. I also appreciated how hard he works during because he was inducted into the Hall of Fame that weekend, and how he was constantly on the phone, working, taking time to take pictures, signing autographs, talking to people, gave a fantastic speech, and still working. And I admired that. But so it isn't that you have to be a name or famous or rich. No, what kind of person are you? But anyway,
True.
so then this was before the banquet. Then I'm sitting there in the banquet and I see this beautiful statue of Rocky Marciano that's there, and a picture of Mancini, and then all these people who were involved with the Italian Hall of Fame, and to have my name, on the screen there, I got emotional. And
Nice.
I know for a fact that my parents, even though they both have passed years ago, they see this event, they're there with me, and I got emotional because I know that they're getting a kick out of this. And I was so honored to be invited to go there. Uh, I had a great time with Tony Ferraro, who's one of the higher ups in the Italian Hall of Fame, and Mark Mackey. And as I said, we spent a lot of time with Ray and everybody else. And Missy Bertiotti from Pittsburgh was a golfer, one of the inductees. She's a great girl. And just one of the things I like to do sometimes I like to stand back away from myself and look at everything and soak it in. And again, I'm still that 8-year-old kid. And I said, wow, what am I doing here with these guys? And so it was just an honor and just a fun time. And I thank God that I was there.
Do you have a favorite Italian athlete? Not to put you on the spot, but
A favorite. I mean, I mentioned Valvano and Mario Andretti, Vince Ferragamo, Boom Boom Mancini, Vinny Pazienza, Chris Corciani, the NC State point guard for Valvano, Marciano, Graziano. I can go on and on. But I grew up with hearing Rocky Marciano all the time and Graziano. Lee Mazzilli, that's why I wear number 16 to this day because of Lee.
wow, I
So
forgot about
there's
that
so
guy.
many.
Yeah.
I can go on and on. But I know I've missed a ton, but those guys, the guys that have had so much impact in my life, and I've become friends with several of them, and so it's nice.
So if you could reincarnate, I'll pitch it this way. If you can reincarnate into an athlete, who would it be? Whose career would you be like, yeah, I'd love to have that career, hypothetical. Who would you pick?
Well, that's a great question. I've never had that. Never even heard that question. Well, you think the career wise, the two guys that jump out have to be Rocky Marciano, who never lost, and in my
Sure.
opinion, pound for pound, the greatest boxer of all time. 5'8", 5'9", 188 pounds, right? World champion forever. Mario Andretti is considered the greatest race car driver of all time. And so those two guys, and not to go off in a different thing, but yes, like I mentioned, Greg Norman, obviously one of the greatest golfers of all time, but I appreciate what he did after golf. Magic Johnson, obviously one of the greatest basketball players of all time. Alex Rodriguez, one of the greatest baseball players of all time. But I study those guys every day, what they did after their respective sport. Andretti, extremely successful in business. Vince Ferragamo, extremely successful in business. Boom Boom Mancini. I love talking with him. I just sit back and listen. unbelievably prepared. He has a movie production company, a cigar company, a bourbon company, a wine company. He speaks, but I listen to him. I've been in meetings with him when he's talking to other businessmen. Unbelievably prepared. I mean, they can ask him any question, he bangs it out. And just so I try to make sure that I can do that whenever I'm asked any questions. So, so again, I appreciate what they've done out of the ring or field or court. But as far as to your question, Marciano and Andretti, who really was better than those two guys?
True. Mine, I mean,
And
growing
Vince
up, I
Lombardi.
played hockey. Vince Lombardi, right. I
Yeah,
played hockey and, I had the dreams too. And Tony Esposito was the guy I
sure,
kind of
yeah,
wore his number. And,
yeah.
anyway, I love this mask. When they had masks, they were unique. It wasn't like the cage thing everyone has now. But yeah, anyway. So another hypothetical. In a fight, who would win, Ray Mancini or Steve Mancini?
Steve would win because I think he would
Wow.
he would just keep talking to Ray, and Ray would say, "The hell with it, I'm getting out of here."
Wow.
Ray would just quit. Ray would leave.
Wow. I'm going to segue into something. Hopefully, have a little fun with this. It's called Name That
Sure.
Athlete. I'm going to give you, if you want to do it, I'm going to give you a nickname. You tell me the athlete. Okay, you up for that?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, here we go. Who was called, and I'll give you hints. It's either baseball or boxing. I'll tell you that right now.
That's
Who
fine.
was called Hands of Stone?
Roberto Duran, who Vinny Pazienza, who I love more than anybody, beat him twice.
Who was called the Sultan of SWAT?
Babe Ruth.
Bingo. You already did better than Steve Mancini. Who was called Sweet Pea?
I'm sorry?
Sweet Pea. Who was nicknamed was
Whitaker.
Sweet Pea? Pernell Whitaker.
Pernell Whitaker.
A little trick question here. Actually, it's not a trick question, but who was called Mr. Baseball?
Bob Uecker.
He actually got the name. Yeah, there you go. Didn't even have to explain it. All right. Now this is two different sports, baseball and boxing. Who was called the Hitman? One in baseball,
Mike
one in
Easler.
boxing.
Well, in baseball, it was
Wow.
Mike Easler. And in boxing,
Correct.
it was Tommy Hearns.
Yes. Whew. Nice. I forgot about Mike Easler as I was putting this together. Yeah. The Pirates. Anyway, yeah. Huge fan growing up. Again, two sports. Now, I will tell you, the one is football. One's baseball, one's football. Who was called Mad Dog?
Bill Matlock.
One is baseball, one's football. How about football?
Curtis. Mike Curtis.
Yeah, you know what? That's right. But I was thinking Dwight White.
For the right, number 78 for the Steelers, but Mike Curtis for the Baltimore Colts, number 32 linebacker.
Correct. Who was called Jersey Joe?
Rocky Marciano beat him September 23, I believe in 54 for the heavyweight title. Jersey Joe Walcott.
Boom. Who was called the Golden Boy?
Well, I'm going to be a little biased about that. And again, forgive me. I'm not trying to name drop. One of my best friends, former light heavyweight champ of the world, Donnie Lalonde, was called Donnie the Golden Boy Lalonde, and of course, Oscar De La Hoya. But I got to answer first, Donnie Lalonde.
Okay. I had Oscar, but I believe you.
Yeah.
Last one. Who was called the Big Unit? And no, it's not Steve Mancini.
No, Randy Johnson.
Correct. Wow. Aced it. Woo. All right.
That was fun. I enjoyed that.
Yeah. Let me, this is another segment, short. This is just a preference thing to get off the sports thing, just to get to know
It's all
Claudio.
right.
This is this or that. It's just a preference thing. So, what do you prefer, if any? Wine, beer, or whiskey?
Wine. I collect celebrity wine. I have a room full of wine. But the
Really?
crazy thing is, I will only 99.8% of the time will only drink wine in my dining room. Now, when I was at the Hall of Fame, you had to drink something there. But yeah, but yes, definitely wine.
Now, who are some of the celebrity wines you have? I mean, I don't, you have to name them all, but
Yeah, Ray Boom Boom Mancini, Mario Andretti,
hmm,
Vince Ferragamo, Dick Vermeil, Greg Norman, um, Arnold Palmer, Jack Nicklaus, uh, Jeff Gordon, Tommy
Dan
Lasorda.
Marino have a. Okay,
He does. I'm still waiting for that one, but yeah, he has one called Passing Time.
okay, all right. Which do you prefer? I love them all, but homemade lasagna, homemade ravioli, or homemade linguine?
My mom's my mom was an unbelievable cook, so anything she made was great. Me, I'm a pretty good cook, so I my daughter loves my linguine and clam.
All right. Love a good linguine. I got to go with lasagna. Again, my mother, those days. Wonderful.
Yeah,
Um, what do you find more exciting? Inside the park homer or a monster blast into the upper deck?
what do I like better?
Yeah, when you're at the game, what would you rather see? Inside the parker or just a blast into the upper
For
deck?
me, I always like the Reggie Jackson monster shots, the Willie Stargell monster shots. As a fan, I guess you like the inside the park because there's more action.
True, true. Yeah, I like the long ball, but
Yeah,
um, a couple of Pisons. Mike Piazza or Steve Balboni?
Mike Piazza.
I don't know. Mike Piazza.
Mike Piazza. And I appreciate his business acumen as well. I've studied him as well, and I've heard nice things about him as a person.
Cool. Movies or TV?
Uh, both are suffering right now. Um, I as long as it's good, accurate. Well, that's a hard one. Um, Maybe a
Hmm.
movie because it's more, it's at the theater and the ambiance and all that. We'll go with a movie.
All right. Now, obviously, this is going into the past. Coaching or playing? What do you enjoy more?
Uh, I really enjoyed playing, um, and all you had to worry about was yourself. A little less stress as a coach. There's you're dealing with everyone. I've been asked that before, and I got to be honest with you. I love both of them. When I played, I loved playing. I really did. And I enjoy coaching and the impact. I guess maybe coaching because you can have more impact on people. So let's go with the coaching.
All right. Last one. Boxing or baseball?
I'm going to throw a curve at you. Pardon the pun. I'm going to say boxing because what do I enjoy more? Because when I'm
Yeah, I
in a
mean,
baseball
currently.
when I'm at a baseball game, it's almost like still work because you're studying strategies and things like that. Boxing, it's you're just there to enjoy it. Not unless I'm working an event, if I'm announcing or something like that. But let's. I mean, you know what? Though I take it back. I've been watching the Ken Burns. Geez, that's a hard one. I've been watching the Ken Burns baseball documentary, and I love
Great
that. So,
stuff.
and I love the history of both. Boy, that's a tough one. That's like, do you like your left arm? Do you like your right arm? I like them both. Love them both.
Claudio, I really appreciate you coming on. I will be in touch and wish you the best. So, just real quick, what's going on in 2024 for you?
But first of all, it's been an honor to be on your show. You're a good guy. Great interviews, great questions. So thank you so much. Sorry for any technical difficulties. What's going on for 2024? Just ramping things up. Want to improve everything we're doing at Carnegie Mellon with the Global Scouting Bureau. Want to do more speaking engagements. Want the shows to get more listeners. Anything new, the Draft Nation. Like I said, we're working on that. In Streakers Gaming, trying to get those going even further. Trying to do my part, and you know, just really adding on top. And now if something falls into my lap, we'll definitely look at it. But just basically improving everything that I'm doing and getting it out there that much more. And I'd say I really want to. You always want to win more games, sign more players, and do more speaking engagements, sell more books, get more listeners, right? And continue. I'm very blessed that my wife and I, Linda, been married 25 years. My daughter Ida graduated, as I said, from Pitt and going to Duquesne. She's 22, great girl. I've been blessed. I had great parents, still have them, in my opinion. I had a great dog, have a great cat now. So I have life. I'm very blessed. Have some great friends. Um, just want to keep things going in that direction. Very, very grateful. Very grateful.
You're listening to Unmuted with Papamutes.